Okay, so we're going to start off with what is an electric drive vehicle, and there's a few different types. And I'm going to try to keep it basic, and there's some guys in here that probably know way more about this than I do, so I'll keep you honest. But the thing to remember is if it has a plug on it, that's good. And just don't let anything else confuse you. If it's got a plug, that's good. You have plug-in hybrids, which that's what all the buzz is about. That's what this guy is, a Chevy Volt. There's battery electrics, and that's the Nissan Leaf and things like that that don't have gas on board. And then there's hybrids, and we've all heard about the Prius and the like. So I'd like to do this comparison of the difference because it's a little easier to understand. The Nissan Leaf, it's 100-mile range. Tesla Roadster is over 200. It can go 90 miles an hour plus. It can quick charge in 5 minutes to get you 30 miles if you have a quick charger, which they're not out there yet, but they're hopefully coming. And again, no gas on board, so that's a battery electric, totally gas-free. Then there's a plug-in hybrid, and this is what a lot of what's coming out of Detroit. Approximately 40 miles of all-electric range, 300 miles with a gas backup generator, and then 90 plus miles an hour. And so the range is extended by a gas generator. So that's the important difference. So battery electrics, energy comes from the grid, and I give that a little thumbs up in there. They recapture their energy while braking, and if anyone's ever push started a car, it's a lot of energy goes into getting the car moving, so why not recapture that when you're slowing down. The range between 100 and 200 and so miles, depending on the car type, and say goodbye to gasoline if you're driving one of these. Plug-in hybrid, again, the primary energy source is from the grid. That's really good news, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. Again, it recaptures energy while braking, and the secondary energy source is from petroleum. So the really cool part about this is this allows 78% of the drivers of these vehicles to stop buying gas. How cool is that? Where did that come from? I took this slide from GM. This is at the Plug-in 2009 conference, and they said, well, why are we targeting 40 miles? Well, because 78% of us, as I was just telling you, are driving less than 40 miles in a day. So again, you're switching your energy source from petroleum to grid energy if you're driving under 40 miles a day. So that's kind of a cool little stat. So okay, are they real? Are these vehicles really real this time? Well, let's take a look. Here's what Nissan's producing as of this coming year. It's the Leaf, 100-mile range, 90 miles an hour, quick charge. Kind of been through this a little bit, but 2010, so in just a few months, 6-8 months or so, I think we're going to start seeing these things roll out. And I'd sure like to see some of these around. So why are these things so important? Why do I think it's important enough to come down here and talk about these things tonight? Well, here's why. Electrical energy is primarily a domestic energy source. It's not typically foreign oil. And that's really important for us. I think we all know that. Electrical energy is much cheaper than gas. These cars can use renewable energy very easily. I mean, they're the ultimate flex fuel vehicle. No matter what kind of energy goes in the grid, they can use it. In most cases, they're much more efficient than internal combustion. And in most cases, they improve urban air quality. Definitely out here in the West, they would. And greenhouse emissions are lower in all cases, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. So what's the problem with using petroleum? Well, right now, about 97% of the energy we use to move our vehicles around this country is petroleum. And that's not very good for us as a country. Something that's kind of fun to look at, however, is what what sources we get our energy from on the grid. Here's the U.S. average, which most people have seen this stat before. About 49% of it comes from coal. That's not great, but we also have, on average, 20% nuclear, 21% natural gas, and so on and so forth. This is, again, another slide that GM produced, and this is very common knowledge. It's kind of fun to look at the different splits. Rhode Island is almost all natural gas. California is pretty heavily into the natural gas, and I'll talk about where we are as a state in just a minute. The one exception is Hawaii, and they do use a lot of petroleum to make their electrical energy, or to produce their electrical energy, but they're the very, very rare exceptions. So I want you guys, the big takeaway from this slide is you don't see any petroleum on this, maybe 1%, but it's basically non-existent on the national grid. So that's really good news for us as I'm going to talk about. In '08, we spent $700 billion on foreign oil. $700 billion. So I always hear that number and think, wow, that's a lot of money. I wonder how much that really is. Well, I thought, well, let's do some math here. What if we took 100 $1 bills and stacked them in a little stack that's about 6 by 2 by 4 inches, which, 100 ones. And then I found the largest super tanker in the world holds 266,000 cubic meters. That's 21 super tanker loads of $1 bills that we haul off and give to other countries every year. That's a lot of money. Another way to look at it is, in '08, our federal budget was $2.9 trillion to run the entire country. And yet, we're giving away $700 billion. In '08, we gave that away to other countries that don't really care for us that much. So, probably not a good idea. What if we invested that money internal to our country? I wonder if things would change a little bit. So, here's something that's real fun to talk about. Electric is much cheaper than gas. Now, all this, please, I'm talking about Southern Nevada right now. The electric rate for Northern Nevada is coming in June of 2010. It's just, we're going to file it with our rate case then. So this is Southern Nevada, so don't get them mixed up. But this is pretty neat. We have an electric vehicle rate. You can charge your car in Southern Nevada for 7.3 or 6.3, depending on winter or summer, cents at night. You have to go on the time of use rate, and that makes people a little bit nervous, but here's the cool part. The company will guarantee that the time of use rate, which means it's more expensive in the evening when we really need, people to be cutting back, and less expensive at night, we'll guarantee that after 12 months you're even money by switching to the other rate, or we'll give you your money back, the difference between what it would have been on the flat rate, and we'll allow you to switch back. We'll give you one-time chance to do that. Again, the hybrid electric vehicle rate is coming to Northern Nevada in 2010, but this is a great one. I like this next slide. Imagine this. How long would the line of cars be if you saw those prices on a gas station? Think about that. That's what this rate is equivalent to. So where does this come from? The Pacific Northwest National Lab, this is one of the DOE, the national labs, they found that driving a plug-in hybrid on 9 cents per kilowatt hour electrical energy is equivalent to $1 per gallon gas. Well, our rates are 7.3 and 6.3. So we're significantly less than that in Southern Nevada. How cool is that? So I just love that. That actually gives me the chills when I think about it. So here's the rate itself. There's two options. I just had option A up there. There's a lot of numbers that would come in, but these are the numbers over here that you need to pay attention to. So summer on peak between June and September, between 1 and 7, it gets more expensive, about 28 cents a kilowatt hour. But then off peak, you can see that here's your hybrid electric rate, summer, winter, very, very affordable. And early adopters, since we don't have any way to figure out if you're charging your car or heating your hot tub, you're going to get the benefit of the lower rate for whatever you're doing until we figure that out. So again, the rate's coming to Northern Nevada next year, so stay tuned. Pretty exciting.